why I wonder also. All these airwaves. That's why I wonder also. All these airwaves. That's why I wonder all these airwaves.
Greetings, friends of St. Mary, and welcome to the 18th Annual SpireFest Gala. I'm Alison Banikowski, a proud alum of St. Mary, class of 75, and I have the honor of being your MC here this evening. I've been thinking a lot lately about hope. You know, that expectation for a better tomorrow. And we've all been challenged with having hope because of the year we've had in the world. But we can raise hope. And we can do that by raising funds for student scholarships. We can help those individuals who want to attend St. Mary but are not financially able. We can also help the next generation, those doctors and nurses and teachers and leaders, those innovators and artists. You can make a difference by participating in the annual fundraising event. So let's hear a little bit about what is going to occur during the SpireFest Gala. First, we have an opportunity for the online auction, which has been going on all week. We have the Fund a Scholar event. We have an opportunity to see what's happening on the St. Mary campus as it continues to evolve and grow. We have an opportunity to hear from some students who have been impacted by student scholarships. We get to hear some words from our president, Sister Diane Steele, and we get to meet the St. Mary of the Year Award recipient. So sit back, relax from the comfort of your home, and hopefully you will be participating in helping to raise those student scholarships to raise hope.
Hey, I'm Clayton. Wait, wrong year. This is me. So this isn't my first go around with vlogging.
He's vlogging.
Clearly. But I hope to show you what life is like for a USM junior. So I'm from a super small town called Montrose, Missouri. But at St. Mary, I study digital communications on the journalism track, so you can find me around campus, with or in front of a camera pretty often. I also minor in pastoral ministry. So there really isn't ever a normal day for me, I guess you could say. Some days I may be covering a football or volleyball game. Other days you might find me in the circle doing a stand-up, or off somewhere conducting an interview. Life can be pretty hectic with classes, an on-campus job, and trying to find enough time to devote to friends. But life has looked a lot different lately. When the US started to get its first cases of COVID-19, I was worried, but thought we would handle it differently than other countries. In my journalism classes, we had tracked it, the spread. From the first time it hit the news, to when it shut down most of Europe, all the way up to the first cases on US soil. It was spring break 2020, and I'd set out for a solo hiking trip to Colorado. I'd packed my bags, grabbed my camera gear, threw in some books, and off I went. I had the greatest time of my life. No agenda except for the one in my head. No one to compromise with on what I would be doing. It was me, my camera, and hundreds of miles of open road and unexplored territory for me. On one of the last days of my trip, when I was starting to think about classes resuming and getting back to the dorms, I woke up and knew something was wrong. I could just sense it. Denver had declared a state of emergency. Colorado in full was soon to follow. I'd planned to go to the sand dunes that day, but instead, I packed my things, called my parents and my best friend Mel, and said I was coming back to Kansas. It was the fear of not knowing what was going on, not understanding if I needed to quarantine or not. It didn't feel real when the email from Sister Diane went out that said we were getting an extra week of spring break. Amazing, awesome, who could turn that down? I was staying with Mel at this point, and we were content with just staying inside for a while and letting this thing just pass by. But this thing, this pandemic, it never just passed by. Soon it was clear we wouldn't be returning to the dorms, to campus, or to any of the plans we had set for the spring. But I was still blessed with some amazing opportunities in 2020. I got to show my work in the student art show that became virtual. I had an amazing internship over the summer where I made new friends, got hands-on work experience, and pushed myself to try new and to do new things. I was even able to compete in a virtual conference for Phi Beta Lambda, the business club here on campus, and I ended up doing well. One of the things I've told all the first years and transfers here is that we will get back to the regular St. Mary. We will get back to having matriculation and convocation. We will get back to having a slip and slide on the Maria Hall Hill. Back to big meals together, and back to joining the sisters for a Mardi Gras celebration. We aren't there yet, but this return to normal in the next year for my final year as Aspire is going to be one for the record books.
Good evening, friends and alums and families. Let me add my welcome and thank you for coming to SpireFest 2021. I had really hoped that I would be greeting you from the stage of a hotel and that we would be able to shake hands, visit, and dance together. But we have one more year of doing this remotely. But I promise next year we will be back in the hotel. We'll be back together celebrating St. Mary and our marvelous students. This pandemic has taken a toll on all of us. We have lost so many people, it's hard to imagine those kind of numbers. Our students have lost grandparents and parents, and we even lost one of our graduate students. Each and every life is a dramatic loss, a tragic loss, and we continue to hold in prayer all those who grieve. When numbers get so massive, it's easy to forget that each and every one of them is a beloved daughter, son, grandma, grandparent. And we remember those too who kept us safe. All those frontline workers, our healthcare workers, and our own health department here in Leavenworth County. They have done a marvelous job, and we are most grateful for everything they've done to help us. We did a lot of pivoting this last year and a lot of adapting. Things that we thought we would never be able to do. We took the entire university remote in 1 week. It's amazing what you have to do, what you can do when you have to do it. Our faculty were amazing. They transferred their classes to remote. We all became masters of Zoom. But we miss being together. Our students miss being together. But we've done our best, putting safety first. I now know more about PCR testing and antigen testing than I ever wanted to know. I know about quarantines in the hotels and delivering meals to our students who were there. But everybody pitched in. We made it work. It wasn't pretty, but we made it work because we kept our students at the center and we kept safety as our top priority. And now, thank God, there's a vaccine on the horizon. Our faculty and staff have been vaccinated. Our students are next. And thank you to all of those scientists who moved this through so quickly. Unheard of to have a vaccination so quickly developed. Thank you. And so, even in the midst of this pandemic, St. Mary didn't stop. Last fall, we started another doctorate, our doctorate in education. And this spring, we're going to launch our third doctorate, the doctorate in occupational therapy. Because whether there's a pandemic or not, education goes on. The quality education of St. Mary, it had to look different, but it was still there. Because our dedication to educating students to realize their God-given potential and contribute to our global society has never changed. We are proud and we are humbled to stand in the footsteps of Mother Xavier and the founding sisters, and to continue the Sisters of Charity of Leavenworth great idea of educating the whole person and helping them to become more human. Thank you again for joining us at this SpireFest.
We now have the opportunity to meet the St. Marian of the Year. An institution like St. Mary's could not get by without having individuals who are willing to share their time, their talent, and their treasure. Every year at SpireFest, one of those individuals from the St. Mary community is selected for the St. Marian of the Year. This individual embodies the spirit of the mission of St. Mary. We have an opportunity now to meet the St. Marian of the Year.
To be a St. Marian means to be of service, one striving to follow in the footsteps of St. Vincent de Paul, observing the needs of others and figuring out a way to meet them. St. Marians give of themselves without looking for praise or admiration, and tonight's honoree is no exception.
My name is Fred Tromans. Been on the board for 8 years. I'm currently the vice chair of the board. I served for 5 years as chair of the board from 2013 to 2018.
Fred Tromans is the quintessential board member that everyone would love to have. Fred is creative, he's intelligent, he's well-read, he's a faith-filled man who really puts his treasures and his time and his talents forward into the mission.
She convinced me to join the board, and just a year later she asked me to chair the board, which kind of floored me. I took it on and I have enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed my association with St. Mary's, particularly with the mission of providing the opportunity for college for kids who are financially challenged.
Fred numerous times made the comment that, that it goes beyond just the graduation of the kids. It goes to teach the kids that normally wouldn't have an opportunity to go to college, to give them that opportunity to be able to better themselves, and hopefully to not only better themselves, but better in generations to come in their families.
Well, the stories, I think,
Oh, Fred always has a story.
How do you describe Fred's personality? He's a storyteller.
There's the story of a young girl whose father was in Lansing prison and whose mother was a drug addict, and she came to St. Mary's on a full ride and graduated in 4 years in pre-med Summa, and now has her MD degree from KU. There's the story of a young man from Utah, middle-class family. His family wanted him to go to KU and study accounting. And in his freshman year at KU, he learned something very important. He learned he hated accounting. And he was driving down I-70, saw the sign for St. Mary's, drove up, parked in the circle, got out, and somebody came up and said, "I don't think I've seen you here before. Can I help you find something?" And long story short, he transferred from KU to St. Mary's, changed his major from accounting to pastoral studies, and when he graduated, he went to work for Catholic Relief Services in Afghanistan. There are just a whole bunch more stories like that. There was a young guy that grew up in a project in Houston. His major was criminal justice, and he interned with the Lansing Police Department, and they wanted him to come to work there. And he said, "No, I'm going back to Houston to see if I can get some more of those kids out." Those are the kinds of stories that keep me coming back. And there's not, I've told 3 of them, there's bunches of them.
I thought Fred has been deserving of this honor since we created it.
There's only one Fred, and I mean that in the kindest of words. Fred makes meetings very enlightening, very educational. Anybody that has sat in a meeting with Fred, if you do not come out of the meeting smarter than what you went in with, you weren't listening.
He is one that, as a board chair, if we start a capital campaign, he's the first to step forward. He's also the first to step forward time-wise, to come up and spend time with our students in meetings. He was always eager to answer the phone if I was on the other end asking a question as a board chair. And so he exemplifies what it means to really be a civic leader in the Catholic community.
As you hear the word of the award, there wasn't one individual that came to mind more than Fred because of having known him over the past 6 years. He just exemplifies what the award really means about St. Mary's and the mission and the commitment.
St. Mary's is an institution where Someone who might not have the means can come here and get a first-class education and an opportunity in the world and a chance to learn important moral values to take with them on that journey.
Thank you, Fred, for being a St. Mary of the Year, for living the mission and showing us how it really means to be Catholics dedicated to social justice.
One of the greatest gifts that we can give is a college education, but we know students have many obstacles to overcome in order for them to go to college. And one of those obstacles often is financial. We know that a scholarship can help ease the pressure that many students are feeling about going to college. We know that a student scholarship can often make the difference between going and not going to college. That is why the Fund a Scholar is so important. 100% of the money raised through these Fund a Scholar goes towards student scholarship. And of course, it's tax deductible. And we also know that we want to take advantage of a $20,000 match from an anonymous donor. There are many examples of students who earned a scholarship and were able to be impacted positively by that scholarship. There are examples of students that are both current and former students. Let's take an opportunity to meet a current student, Marcy Walker, who is a sophomore, majoring in exercise science, and has the dream of going on and earning her doctorate in physical therapy. We'll also have an opportunity to hear from a former student, an alum, who is from Montana, Margaret Richards. She's going to share the impact the scholarship had on her time at St. Mary, as well as ultimately for her life.
I'm Margaret Richards. I am the Director of Pro Bono Services for Hush Blackwell, which is a pretty large law firm, and I graduated from St. Mary in 2000.
I'm Macy Walker. I'm from Vega, Texas, and I'm majoring in exercise science and planning on going into PT.
I grew up in Billings, Montana. And for those who maybe don't know, the Sisters of Charity who founded St. Mary went on and founded schools and hospitals throughout the U.S. Or in different parts of the U.S., mostly western states, including Montana. So ultimately, it's kind of an interesting but long story as to how I actually ended up at St. Mary. But it was a school I had heard of. But what attracted me to St. Mary is easy. And it's not easy to describe, but it's certainly, I think, easy for me to talk about. And that's, it really felt like home. And that sounds silly. I had done a college tour with my mom. Many students do that, right? They go check out the colleges they're interested in. And it felt like home. It felt like a family. And that all sounds weird. I can't put a precise word to it other than sort of the feeling I got of belonging. that this was where I was meant to be, I got here and thought, yeah, this is the place for me.
So I'm from Vega, Texas. It's a very small town, a 2A high school that I have gone to. I went there from kindergarten through 12th grade. I wanted to play basketball in college, but didn't really have a whole lot of connections. So I used a recruiting app, and the former basketball coach found me on there. And when I signed, when I came and visited around Easter of 2019, it was like one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. I'm an athlete, so I've always been interested in working with other athletes, but I got injured in high school and I had to go see my athletic trainer at my high school, and I just loved how he was able to engage with all the athletes and help them and get them back on the court and stuff like that. And his wife was actually a PT, and when I was talking to her, it felt like it was meant to, because I didn't know what I wanted to do until I was about a senior in high school, and then I found St. Mary and it just felt like it was perfect. The person that brought me on my tour was great. He also was majoring in PT. Made me feel really welcome, and I love the small feel of this campus, and it was the first place I visited and the only place I needed to.
So when I was looking at schools, I was looking for something that was larger than the high school I had come from. Being from a small school in Montana, I wanted more opportunities, more access to just a broader variety of classes and clubs and travel and, just the things that maybe a slightly larger school would bring with it, but not something I'd get lost in with a huge school. And so when I got to St. Mary, it was a good fit for that reason. It was still small, so I was able to still thrive in a community that was similar to what I was used to from back home, but also have more opportunities at my fingertips. I lived in both Maria and Berkman's, and so there was just a lot of time in the dorms together with friends and laughing, and road trips for the basketball team, or you name it. There was just the memories that come to mind are the friendships.
As an individual, I've always been a very modest and introvert. I don't go out and party. I don't go do anything like that. So this has kind of helped me, especially having a team that I'm a part of. When I first came here, being 11 hours away from home, it makes it really easy for me to feel comfortable, because I already had a group that I knew I could know, that I would know and get to be around. And it also having the community here and having people that were real into what you wanted to help you achieve your goals really helped me. I just love the atmosphere in the community, and everybody here treats you like family, so I never felt like I was too far away from home. My experience with the basketball team has been amazing. I love the sport, obviously, but the coaches, the teammates, everything, it's just the atmosphere's amazing, and the gym is just feels like home to me. My coach has been amazing. He always is pushing me to do my best in school and on the court. He has helped me in every aspect of my life so far at St. Mary, and then my professors have been amazing. And I've had so many that I can't just pick one that has helped me. Every one of them cares and wants to make sure that you're okay, and even especially during the pandemic, I've had every professor ask me every day if I'm doing okay. And it's really helped, especially with what's going on right now, to make sure that everybody's mentally and physically okay.
So I think St. Mary shaped my life and my career in a couple different ways. One, I certainly got some of this from my family, but I think it was more enhanced when I got to St. Mary, and that was my exposure to the Sisters of Charity and sort of what their mission is, what their whole life dedication is, and that service to others, and really doing more for others around us, right? And so now, as being the director of pro bono services, granted it's taken some time for my career to get where it's at now, my whole job is connecting people with access to justice. Access to justice is a huge issue. There's a huge gap, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done to bridge that gap. And so I feel like having a position like mine, bringing together attorneys that want to help and agencies that need the help and people who need lawyers to help them, that helps motivate me and makes me passionate. And I think that was really something that I picked up from my time at St. Mary that I knew I needed to carry forward.
My St. Mary experience has really lived up to what I expected it to. I love the small town feel of the campus. All the people are genuinely want to know how you're doing and want to make sure you're doing great, and all the professors are amazing. I've had a really good experience with all of them that I've had so far. It's made my classes and my experience with everything a lot better. It made it difficult. The pandemic did. It made it real difficult for me to feel like I was engaged some days, but our professors did a really good job of making sure that having Zoom links that we could rewatch class and feel like if we were missing something because we were sick or had a sport that we had to miss class, we didn't feel like we were missing out. And we've also all the classes, it's made it easier for the athletes that are on campus to miss class and everything. But with the pandemic, this school's been great on figuring out how to work around all the problems that we've run into.
As a freshman at St. Mary, we were expected to do so many public service, community service hours, and I wanted something out of the ordinary. And so I thought, okay, well, what about prison ministry? I sort of had these stereotypes in my head about what prison was like. Certainly had never experienced it myself or had any family members in that situation, and so it was a complete unknown to me, and that was what was so appealing about getting involved in this group. And so I got involved with this prison ministry group as a freshman at St. Mary and continued that all through the time that I was a student here, and continued that once I graduated. And here I've been out of school now 21 years, and it's still a group that's growing strong. We still go into the prison once a week and bring hope to somewhere where there isn't a whole lot of hope. And then I'm also part of a nonprofit board for an all-girls high school in rural Kenya that actually was the brainchild through a group that got together through connections through St. Mary. And so we formed this nonprofit to support this all-girls high school in rural Kenya, because many of these girls would not be able to get a high school education, but for having somebody that can help with their tuition or help the community get clean water, to getting access to healthcare. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that we do for this particular school that we help support them from here in the U.S. And so those are the main two things that keep me busy. So the impact on student scholarships, I think, is so important, right? They provide access to a higher education that students might not have otherwise. And I'm a prime example of that. My parents were hardworking. They provided what they could. I worked all through high school because I knew that I was going to go to college, right? And I needed to figure out a way to get there. And so I did what we could, but certainly there was not enough financial resources to cover higher education. And so because of student scholarships, I was able to come to St. Mary. I was able to thrive and succeed here. And I think, while I was determined, it certainly was an opportunity that allowed me to succeed and get a degree from St. Mary.
So I received the Presidential Scholarship and the Spire Award, and those really mean a lot to me, especially with trying to pay for school. And I just felt real honored to especially receive the Presidential Scholarship. With how hard I work on my grades, it showed that it paid off. My next steps after I graduate with my bachelor's is to eventually, hope to come here for PT school. And then after I graduate from PT school, I don't really know where I'm going to end up. I would love to go back to the Texas Panhandle, but if I end up in this area, I would absolutely love it.
So I give back to St. Mary because I think I need to, I had mentioned this before, carry the torch, right? Somebody donated, alumni and others had given, which allowed me to come to St. Mary. And so by giving to St. Mary myself, I can continue that forward to students who are in similar shoes that just couldn't achieve college or higher education, but for other people's generosity. And I have a big picture on my wall that says, if you see something that's not right, not fair, not just, you have a moral obligation to do something about it. And that motivates me, and I feel like that's a lot of what the Sisters of Charity are about. That's a lot about what the ultimate mission of St. Mary and supporting its students and educating its students is about, and I feel like I get to carry that torch in what I do today.
Well, our time together is about to come to a close. I do want to remind you that auction is open till midnight, and we do hope you contribute to the Fund to Scholar so that we can take advantage of that $20,000 match from that very generous anonymous donor. Your support of student scholarships shows that you believe in a St. Mary education. You believe in the students that St. Mary serves. I want to thank you because you have impacted not only the present, but the future. You have been beacons of hope. So blessings to you and yours. Have a wonderful evening.